What's up, guys? Daniel from Purple Fire. So let me explain to you why 80% of your Invisalign leads, or any leads for that matter, that you get through dental practice, through marketing, whether you run ads on Google or Meta, lots of these leads never turn into real clients or real patients. And I'm betting right now that that's a frustration you've had in the past. You worked with some kind of marketing agency, and they say they're gonna give you all these leads and these new patients, but they never really turn into new customers, new patients in your clinic. So let me show you why that is happening and what's missing, sort of show you the gap and how to fix it. So no matter who you work with in the future, you can actually get a great return on your marketing, right? So that's the number one thing here. Let me show you how that works. First thing you need to know is that most, let's say, dental marketing funnels, they're built this way where you get your clicks through ads, whether it's Instagram or Google or Facebook. That's the number one thing. And then typically best practices, this is if you work with a good partner or you know what you're doing, you're sending them to a landing page that typically ask for information. It could be their phone number, their name, and then it shows what this treatment is about and the benefits and why it makes sense for them to consider this treatment. Now, that is the next step, and typically that's not an issue. People are happy to fill in their information because they're motivated to start this treatment and at least see what can happen from a free consultation. But then number three, the third step here is they book in a consultation, maybe they even book directly into your calendar, but they never talked to someone. You never talked to your receptionist. They never talked to someone from the clinic, and they're still not excited about the treatment, not enough to at least show up in person, because that's a huge commitment. So this is where we need to fix a lot of things. And if you don't actually get patients at the end of the day from your marketing, there is a gap here that needs to be solved. And I'm here to show you exactly how to do that. The first thing I want to show you, the first improvement I want you to make, is what we call the 5-minute rule. What I want you to do, or at least ask that from a partner, is to call the lead within 5 minutes. So if they said, "Oh, I would like to discuss Invisalign treatment or whatever," you have to call them and immediately, find out what's their needs, what is it they want, why are they motivated to get their teeth fixed, right, and so forth. So that call within 5 minutes is the biggest game changer you can make. And if your marketing partner right now is not calling the leads, and by the way, not just from some Indian call center, they actually have to be skilled callers they're trained in the treatment. If they're not doing that, you need to fire them right now, because it will never work out without the system in place. So you call them, and if you are a small dental clinic right now and you cannot call, at least set up an automated text message like, "Hey, Sarah, this is Maria from Dr. Chen's office. I saw your Invisalign request. What's the best time to call you today?" So you set this text up, you will get a lot of replies, and then you can call them later at a good time. So you can set this automation up to run within 60 seconds of them submitting their information, and then your receptionist can call when they're available, right? So if you don't have a marketing partner that has dedicated callers, this would be the way to do it, right? So these things are very, very important. The 5-minute rule, this, if you don't do this, this is your first big leaky area of your marketing funnel, basically. The first call is to show up. And the reason why I say that is because, as before I said, well, if you don't call, you're never going to get the lead, you're never going to get the treatment, right? So a typical inbound call could look a little bit like that. Like the lead will say, "Yeah, I just filled out the form like a minute ago," and they are going to respond. And that was quite fast that you're calling them back if you do it within 5 minutes. And then something like how we would say it if it was us calling, would say like, "Yeah, of course, I saw it come in. I wanted to catch you before you got pulled into something else. Have you been thinking about Invisalign for a while, or is it fairly new for you?" And then the lead might say something like, "Well, honestly, it's been like 2 years. I just keep putting it off." And then we'll try to level with them in a way. So say, "Well, that's very common. Can I ask what made today the day?" So a few things here. I'm just kind of getting into the nitty gritty of what you want to say when you're calling the leads. Is you don't open with like, "Oh, let's just book you in now." Like you open with some kind of, curiosity, and not like, it doesn't have to sound scripted, right? Have you been thinking about this for a while? What made today the day, right? These questions kind of open them up and lower their sort of their guard, which means that they will tell you the real motivation for actually doing this treatment. This is very, very important. And then the next thing is reflect their words back to them. So when she says, I just keep putting it off, your next sentence should acknowledge that. So, that's so common. You're not alone. It signals that you heard her. And perhaps, people show up more often when they feel like the clinic they are about to do treatment with, it actually feels like they're listening. And that's the kind of thing you want when you're doing an expensive treatment, right? And then the next thing is get that verbal commitment. Before you offer a time ask, if we found a time that worked for both of us, would you commit to coming in? That's a really nice little ask before you get into the nitty gritty of like finding a time. So this is a really good way to do it if you have a caller. And then, a spoken yes activates Caldini's commitment and consistency principle. Consistency principle basically means that we are all basically trying to stay consistent when we talk. So if you've said yes to something previously, you're more likely to say yes going forward as well, right? So this is very important. Get that verbal commitment, then book them in afterwards, right? This is really, really important. Going a step further, set the show up on the landing page. By the time a prospect picks up your call, they should already know what's expected of them. So the landing page is your first commitment device, not just a form. So look at this little form here. Again, this is just super, it's not really professionally made, but this is just to show you what you can do. So on that landing page, it says their name, their phone number, and best time to call them. And then down here below it says that it's a 15-minute phone call to confirm the appointment. That is complimentary. And then again, this is optional, but that when they book it eventually, they'll put in a deposit, or if they don't put in a deposit, you can put in a no-show fee, right? So this here, book your complimentary consultation with Dr. Chen. We will scan your teeth, show you a 3D preview of your future smile, and give you a complete treatment plan in 45 minutes. So that's what they're committing to. And if you're not showing that on your landing page and what they should expect from the phone call they eventually get, then you're not going to get them to show up because they don't really know. They're not even framed the right way, right? So they want to know what they're committing to and what they're going to do in person, right? This is very, very important. So 3 fields, nothing more. Tell them what will happen next, 15 minutes call to confirm, and then the deposit is an optional thing. Another option you can do is do a no-show fee, but all our data shows that when you put in a no-show or deposit, of course, the no-show rate will drop dramatically because people are much more inclined to take action when they're financially responsible for what will happen next, right? So this is very, very, very important. Then the next thing that you really, really want to do is set up a CRM system, right? If you don't have a CRM system and if the marketing partner you're working with doesn't have it, then you're going to be completely overwhelmed with everything. A professional marketing system has a pipeline. So this is something that always is used in sales. It's also called a CRM system. And in your CRM system, you want to have a pipeline for your treatments and your marketing, so everything is super organized. So you might say, well, we run ads for Invisalign, we run ads for implants, we run ads for veneers, and everything is in a unique pipeline. And here, if we're looking at Invisalign, we can see, well, we're organizing by lead, who we contacted, who is booked in for an in-person appointment, who has shown up for the appointment, and who has started the actual payment and the treatment, right? And if you just have these 5 different stages, you can really understand who you're dealing with, what state they're in, and you can plan your marketing efforts, your calling efforts accordingly. So in here, for example, if we work with a dental clinic, we know if they're booked in, we need to do whatever we can to make sure they show up for the actual treatment. So we have a lot of automations in here, reminders, SMS. I'll show you that in a little bit, but we have those automations set up. And this we can only do because all these automations, they trigger based on where they are in that pipeline. This is really, really smart. Another thing you can do is if you have them here and they showed up for consultation, but they declined to immediately start treatment from that first consultation, well, this is your reminder to call them and help them make the right decision. Again, if you don't have that, they will just be thrown in the trash, meaning that you're never going to talk to them again, probably because you're too busy treating your clients or your patients. You don't have time to even think about it. It would be great to have a partner that actually calls them, or to have, if you have the capacity, your receptionists or office managers, whoever it might be, have actually like these people, in their pipeline, calling them and reminding them, and basically trying your best to close them on a treatment. And this is something I see very, very few dental clients of ours actually do. So we have to set it up for them. Otherwise, it just never gets done. Another thing is you have to have a lot of touches before they sit in the chair. And this is something we then also do for our clients, right? So a two-way SMS cadence drops no-shows from 15 to 20% down to about 5%. And the goal isn't reminding, it's giving them small chances to recommit and one frictionless way to reschedule before they ghost. So, for example, something we set up for other clients is, hey, you're booked in Sarah on Tuesday, November the 19th. Reply yes to confirm. They give that micro commitment there and say yes. And then we remind them of the treatment. So we have several text messages going out. And we have the easy opportunity to reschedule if they can't make it, because we rather reschedule than lose the lead, right? So these things dramatically drops no-show rates. And if you don't have this, then what I recommend is have someone set up for you so that these messages just automatically run and you don't even need to deal with it, because once it's set up, it just runs and you don't have to do anything. Right? It's easy like that. So these are the things you need to set up. Like, make sure that they can reply to the text messages. Make sure it's from a real person, not just like Dr. Chin's office, but an actual person, because it feels way more personal. And then the cadence you want to implement is 7 days before, 72 hours before, 24 hours before, and the day off. And in some of these messages, you can also put in the no-show fee reminder. So, for example, in the last message or the one 3 days out, we might say, remember to show up on time because our clinic is super busy and there is a no-show fee that you have accepted when you booked in, that you will have to pay if you don't show up. So those things massively increase show rate as well. Another thing is warm them up before they walk in. So this is a game changer, guys. If you made it so far in the video, you're lucky, because this is where you can make a huge difference to your clinic. And I never, ever, ever see any clinics that we take in that have already implemented this, right? So the 7 days between the booking and the consultation is your most valuable selling window. And what we really want to do is we want to pre-sell the treatment. We want to reduce anxiety, and we want to make them feel comfortable and ready for that treatment, right? So things that can happen, right, is a personal video or personal audio that you can record for all the people that come in for the consultation. So remember, an Invisalign treatment is a $5,000-$6,000 treatment, and it's not really crazy to record a 45-second video for every single prospect that has booked in personally with you to see you. If you send them a 45-second video, greeting them, telling them you're excited to see them, and so forth, they will feel a personal responsibility to show up, because now they've heard from you, they've seen you, and they know you're waiting for them, right? So this one is a big one, and this can also be done by other people in the clinic as well. 3 days in after they have booked in the consultation, you can also do before and after. So 3 patients with the same concerns as you, so you add in photos and send them. This would be done through email because it shouldn't be invasive, and you don't want to like spam them with SMS. So this one goes to email. The first one goes in as a video, like a personal text message. So that's very, very important. Another thing you want to do is that, and this is another email, is you want to reduce anxiety. because anxiety is like one of the huge reasons why people don't show. They're actually afraid to show up because they have a lot of hesitation. So you can create an FAQ and send it over by email. So how long will the consultations take? Do I need to bring anything? Where can I park? What's the address? Uh, when will I see the results? What is the typical price range? Can I split the payment? All these things you can send over by email. And a lot of people are never doing that. And a lot of dental clinics are not even thinking about this. Like, this is all gibberish for them because they never heard about it and they don't even think like that. So, very, very big thing. 45-second video from the doctor before and after every time, and kind of get in front of the four big anxieties: pain, cost, time, and looking weird. If you can address these four things, you will massively reduce no shows as well. And then the other thing is, a lot of this can be automated. So you do all this stuff, you set up, we can help set it up for you as well. But once this is set up, it runs. You don't need to work, don't need to do it again, right? Which is a really, really cool thing. Even the video, you could do a more generic one. You don't say their name. You just do a 45-second video from the doctor, and it's still better than nothing, right? So this is a way for you to just set it up once and it runs, and then you can forget about it. So the other thing is to talk about deposits or no deposits. It's a pretty debated topic in the industry. Deposits are really strong because it basically takes away all the tire kickers. So if you have a big problem right now with people that are booking in, but they're not actually paying for the treatment, they're wasting your time, the deposit will actually help a lot. And of course, it will also help the no-show rates. And the thing is, like, if someone is not willing to pay $50, which they can get refunded if they don't start the treatment, then they would never ever spend money on a Invisalign or veneer case or anything like that. They would just not. So this is a pretty good qualifier. What I will say though, a sweet spot is either testing the deposit or just testing a no-show fee, which is kind of like a warning. If you don't show up, you have to pay. The deposit is a little stronger because you have to pay, but it also means you'll get less bookings in your clinic. So you can test either deposit or doing a no-show fee if you want more consultations, right? So this is one thing as well. And then the thing is, the day off is where we see the most amount of cancellations. So people don't cancel 6 days before. They usually cancel on the day. And this is because the biggest reasons for no-shows is that they're still kind of overwhelmed with it. They still have anxiety and they're a little bit stressed. They have a lot going on in their life. So if we can remove a lot of these, we call them day off excuses, then we can actually massively increase our show rate. So on the day of the treatment or the night before, we could send them an email, right? So this is from our clinic. It says here, good morning, Sarah. This is our prospect. Today is the day, and here's everything you need to know. So you will arrive prepared, and we'll get straight to it. So when and where, you put in the clinic, right? Come into the lobby and ask for Maria, and she will take you straight back. Parking, free, behind whatever building, tell them how to park, make it easy for them. What to bring, they don't need to bring a lot of stuff, right? But sometimes that can also cause anxiety. They don't know what to bring. How long is definitely something they want to know how and what they get, and kind of remind them of the value of coming in today, right? So these things should be set up. There's an automated email that will be sent out. You can also send it out as a text message as well. It's really, really important. And this will really, 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 really reduce the amount of no-shows, right? And then the other thing is, and this is a really big thing, greet them by name at the door. The moment a patient walks in and someone says, Sarah, we've been expecting you. I'm Maria. We spoke last week. Basically, show rate stops mattering because she's already in the chair. But the main thing is you're much, much more likely to close them on a treatment if you greet them by name when they come in. And that's because this is very, very uncommon. No one is being greeted when they come in. The typical dental experience is you come in, no one knows you, no one says hello, and you need to go up to the reception and say who you are, and then they will say, take a seat, right? So the greeting experience is terrible in most dental clinics, and this is something we need to change. This is something where we can really, really make a difference. Then, and this is going a little bit beyond, if you're still not closing cases, again, I'm taking this all the way because we are 360 and we make sure that you actually get results, right? So when they show up, close the case in the chair. A lot of dentists and orthodontists, they're afraid to ask for the money. They're afraid to ask for the treatment. So a consult that doesn't end with a treatment plan decision is a consult that costs you a patient. Most practices treat the consultation as information. So this is a huge mistake, but top practices treat it as a decision point. And here's what you need to change inside. So let's just say this is a general consultation, maybe it's Invisalign, something like that. So there's the scan and the photo and so forth, and you kind of get to understand your case. Then it's pretty easy to sort of create a treatment plan and write it down and kind of tell the prospect or the patient what to expect and what the plan should look like, right? So this is something you can easily do. And then next is financing and presenting as a default. So most patients use a payment plan, and basically that allows them to pay, but it's very important to address that immediately as well if they are interested, that they can finance it if you have that opportunity. And then the final thing is also you need to ask for the sale. You need to ask for the treatment. So would you like to start today? The single most important sentence in this consult, ask directly, ask once, and then silence. This is very, very important. You should not justify the price point. You should not be haggling with the patient. You say the price, you ask, would you like to start today? You get that commitment immediately. If they say yes, you already have a commitment. And then afterwards, you can talk about financing, you can talk about when to start and so forth, right? So it's absolutely key that in your consultation, you ask if they want to start the treatment. You get that commitment and you're going to close way more from this. Now, what happens if they don't show? There is a 24-hour recovery. This is very, very important. So a no-show is not a lost patient yet. The thing that happens is if they're 15 minutes late, you can call them and ask if they're stuck in traffic or want to reschedule. Most of the time, they will answer and they will reschedule. And it's worth doing that instead of just losing the lead. Then there's an automation. If they don't pick up the phone, you can do an automation with the SMS and reply instantly for a day to rebook, and then they will get rebooked, right? It will be really cool. 24 hours later, if they haven't responded, it could be a personal email from the doctor with something very valuable that you could be cases, could be like other cases, something like that. And then basically, you can keep sending a few emails, but if they don't answer within 7 days, then consider them lost. It's because they're really not interested in moving forward, right? So this is really, really important as well. Now, if you can show the result before the price, that's also something we see that works really well. So show the result, show others, show like this is an emotional journey. You got to sell this through emotion, not through reasoning, not through logic. People come for a smile makeover to fix their teeth because of deep insecurities, because they want to be a better person. So you got to touch the emotional side, which is why you want to show the result. You want to show other people that have had good experiences. And if you can already do a 3D visualization of what their teeth and their smile could look like, you always want to do that before we talk about pricing and before you ever ask, would you like to start today, right? So this is absolutely key as well. Another thing you can do is quote the monthly, not the total. So if you've done the smart preview, they're very happy and so forth, and you then ask, would you like to start today? They say yes, and then the question comes around to financing. And if you have financing in place, always talk about the monthly payment, not the full payment, because it's so much easier for them to swallow that and so forth. This is really, really key. And finally, I want to remind you, the last thing you want to say is ask. You want to say, would you like to start today? And you don't want to pause. You're not going to be defending anything. You're not going to keep talking. You're just going to allow them to take their time to say yes or no. This is really, really key. And that will help you close a lot more cases as well, right? So This is how it's done. If you wanted a little cheat sheet on everything I just talked about today, here are all the different improvements you can make, the things we discussed today. The slides is something you can download. All these slides that I show here, you can download on purplefire.io. We'll have that in here, and you can basically download them and look them over yourself. There will also be this video. If you want to rewatch this video, you can see it in there as well. So if you want to get something like this done, if you want help with your marketing at all, we are a full marketing agency partner. So we help you with everything. We run the ad account, we get you the leads, we get you the bookings, we get you the show ups, and we help you convert more consultations into treatments, right? So we would say we are a full partner. We always guarantee results. That's what makes us different. So we always tell you exactly how many in-person appointments we will guarantee. Depending on the package, it will go from anywhere from 15 all the way up to 100 consultations a month. And of course, it depends on where you are right now and how close you are to sort of making that decision on getting outside help as well. So anyway, that's it for now. It was a very, very long video, but hopefully you found it useful and hopefully you found something you can implement in your dental clinic right away. If you want more, check out the website and talk soon.